Hi, I'm Bill Arnold. Thank you for listening to this podcast. There are many more podcasts available at myfaithradio.com. Your support makes this possible. Thank you. Hi, this is Bill. I thought this interview was so good, I wanted you to hear it again. So enjoy. And a warm welcome to the afternoon show. I'm Bill Arnold, and for some reason, this is Bring Your Son to Work Day, which is just spectacular. I want to say thanks to David and Jackson Miles for being here. And now I've been very excited for this moment to occur because Dr. Erik Thoennes is joining me with his son Isaac. And Erik sent his, I think his brother-in-law, an email, but it came to me accidentally, and I learned all about his son, Isaac, who's a competitive wheelchair tennis player, and I just fell in love with the story. And being a tennis player myself, and Ryan, who's producing for me today, is a tennis player as well. And so there's a lot of people interested in tennis, and so this is going to be a great opportunity to meet an exceptional young man named Isaac, and he's here with his dad, Erik. Hello, both of you.
Hi, Bill. Good to be with you. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, so nice to meet you. Because I've been looking forward to this for the longest time, Isaac. And I just so you know, I've already possibly got a $2 million deal signed for you with a toothpaste manufacturer because of this $1 million smile you have. So that's the good news.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Erik, you'll be on Easy Street after this thing comes through.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I didn't know that was part of the deal.
Yeah, well, you sent me, I got a couple of pictures of Erik, and I thought, okay, here's a guy with the most winning smile I've ever seen. And he's sitting there just got done competing, and I thought, wow, I don't know, I was so moved. So it was really, really great to see that picture and to have you accidentally send me an email that you didn't intend to send to me.
Yeah, I love that. I meant to send it to my brother-in-law, Bill Ashton, and I sent it to Bill Arnold. And you are my brother in Christ, but yeah, I didn't intend to send it to you. But I'm really glad I did because I was so thankful for the way you were encouraged by a little glimpse of Isaac's story. We were at a tournament in Indian Wells where he was playing wheelchair tennis and sent some pictures to the family. And you got included, thankfully, by the sovereignty of God.
Yeah.
And we're encouraged by that. I love the way that played out, even that weekend in your life, the way that went down.
Well, I will mention because when I saw Isaac's picture and I saw the joy that I could see in his heart and in his eyes, and I thought, being a tennis player myself, I just felt this instant connection with him and his love for the sport and my love for the sport, and then I had this kind of renewed sensitivity for someone who is a young man in a wheelchair. And I went to church that Sunday, and I'm seeing another young man in a wheelchair. And it was after the service, and I thought, I have to go talk to him. I just had to go introduce myself, and I did, and we were chatting, and he was telling me his great plans for his life and his vision for his life, and it was very exciting. And I said, so what is your name? He said, Isaac. I said, wow, that's 2 Isaacs in 4 hours who are under age 20 that are in a wheelchair.
Wow. Yeah, I love how God orchestrates things like this to just give us perspective in life at times when he knows we need it.
Yeah.
Think about things we otherwise wouldn't in our normal routine. And so it's great. When you go through life with disabilities like Isaac does, it gives you a completely different lens on what difficult is. We have a friend who played professional basketball in Germany, and his career ended with an ankle injury, and he had a surgery that didn't go well. And he was really discouraged and feeling super depressed about it. And, Isaac he has 1 foot, and he was talking to our friend and completely sympathetically said, he looked at our.
Oops. I think you'll be back. You went away for a second. There you are. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not, how much of that got cut off?
Well, I last heard that he has one foot.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So Isaac has one foot and played professional in Germany. He hurt his ankle playing professional basketball, and the surgery didn't go well. And so he had to retire from playing basketball. And he was really discouraged about that and sad and depressed. And then he was talking to Isaac about it. And Isaac looked at his foot and he said, I think you have a wonderful foot, Andre, because he has one. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's a really good perspective check.
So, Isaac, how did you end up in a wheelchair?
Well, my coach always taught wheelchair tennis, and I have a weak hip, and so sometimes I fall a lot.
Okay.
And so my coach said, "Hey, there's a wheelchair that might help you." And so my coach got me into it, and it was hard for me, but I loved it, and then ever since I've been playing, so it's very fun.
That's fantastic. And Erik, maybe you would just let everyone in our listening family kind of know how your family's been assembled.
Right. So my wife and I weren't able to have our own children initially, and that was really hard at first. And then we finally said, all right, Lord, this is what you have for us. And so we'll just pour all our parental affection into other people's kids when they come to college. So we both ended up teaching at Biola University and loving that and having students live with us and go on mission trips, and became very thankful for the life we had. But we took a mission trip to India in 2005 and saw orphan kids everywhere and came back brokenhearted for orphans and especially older girls. And so we began the process and ended up adopting our first daughter, Caroline, when she was 7, and then Paige when she was 8, a year and a half later, from the same orphanage in Taiwan. And then we adopted our son, Isaac, our son, Sam, from the same orphanage as well. He had already been adopted, and the adoption got terminated. So they asked us to take Sammy boy, and we did. And that's just been amazing. And then a year and a half after that, we went to China to pick up Isaac, Isaac had amniotic banding syndrome, where in utero, you just lose some of your limbs. And so he ended up losing some fingers and a foot, and has post-polio syndrome in his left leg. So he's got a lot of physical challenges, but man, he is an incredible young man who we just treasure.
Yeah, I'm super impressed. And so, Erik, it's an incredible story that you decided we're gonna start adopting, and then four children later, you've got a fairly busy big household.
Yeah, it was quite a thing. I say to Don all the time, this is the hardest thing we've ever done, and by far the best thing we've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And what was beautiful is our church ended up really catching a vision for this over the years, and we've developed a real adoption and foster care culture where it's just part of the life of our church. So we've been so wonderfully supported by Grace Evie Free and La Mirada and the folks there who have caught a vision for this amazing calling to live out the adoption we have as God's children in real life, and show the love that he showed us when he took us from our orphan state and brought us into his family. And so it's been a display of the gospel in beautiful ways, and a working out of the gospel in beautiful ways. It's not just a command in the Bible to look after orphans and widows in their distress, but it's a rehearsal of the gospel as well. That has just been a beautiful thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little girl in our church. It's so common in our church that kids get adopted and are in foster care, that there was this little girl in our church who asked her parents, she's a biological kid, and she said, hey, when am I going to get to be adopted? Like, she was really missing out on something pretty special.
Like someone would adopt her and she'd get to go to a different family?
Well, no, she wanted her parents to adopt her. She didn't know why she didn't get that special that other kids in the church got. Yeah,
that's fantastic. So, Isaac, tell me more about tennis in a wheelchair. What is that like?
Yeah, so I play tournaments, and it's very fun. I try to practice every day, and I move around I have a racket in my right hand, and I move around by steering it, and yeah.
So you will get on the courts almost every day? Practice every day?
Yeah, I try to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good for you.
When
And
I'm
then,
not busy.
and
Yeah,
then,
when I'm not busy, I
yeah,
try to. Yes. Yeah.
I think your dad mentioned that you have an opportunity to do post-high school competitive tennis at a junior college or a college.
Yes, I think.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean,
Sweet.
he's ranked really high right now in the country. So much depends on what he ends up deciding to do after high school, which will be a year from now. So we'll see how that goes. But he just played in a tournament where there were not enough juniors to play in the doubles tournament. So he played against a couple of adults who were pretty good, but Isaac's really good. And he ended up, he and his partner won the first set 6-0. And at the break, one of the guys said to the umpire, "I want that kid tested for drugs right now." Talking about Isaac, because he was doing so well.
Isaac, did you watch the finals of Wimbledon yesterday?
No, I did not.
Oh, well, you missed a marathon match, but it's an amazing story, and I love that you have brothers. You have one brother or three sisters?
I have one brother and two sisters.
One brother and two sisters. And tell me what family life is like, because I'm a huge fan of your dad, and he's one of my favorite people of all time. And I don't know your mom, but I do know him a little bit, and I'm just imagining that you guys have a pretty interesting life.
Yeah, my mom loves to hike and loves to paint and loves to do sports. My brother loves to lift, and right now he's not doing a sport, but he loves to lift. And my sister loves to ice skate, and she loves kids a lot. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then my sister Paige, she played water polo, and yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, let me take just a short break. I've got a bunch more questions. We're going to take a break, but be right back. Dr. Erik Thoennes is my guest, and his son Isaac, who is a competitive wheelchair tennis player, and really incredible attitude and optimism, and I want some of what he's got. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Bill Arnold, host of the Afternoon Show. If you're like me, and I know I am, you're going to get tired on occasion. Sometimes you're emotionally tired. Sometimes you're spiritually tired. And if you're struggling or you've had disappointment, I want you to know that Susie Larson has written a brand new book to take you on a journey to explore God's invitation to flourish and to heal and to know peace that will hopefully change your life forever. Text the word GOOD to 877-933-2484, and Susie will wake you up to the goodness of God. Connecting faith to life, Faith Radio. Welcome back to the show. I am delighted to have Erik Thoennes on, and his dad, Dr. Erik Thoennes, who you probably know is a regular guest here on the show. I so appreciate them both. Kind of almost like it's Bring Your Son to Work Day. Just so glad to meet Isaac, because I'm a tennis player myself, and Ryan, who's producing, is a tennis player, so we love tennis stories. And Isaac, when how old were you when you started playing tennis?
I'd say around when I was 9 or 10.
Okay. And you just sort of gravitated and you thought, I like this. This is fun.
Yeah. And also my mom used to play tennis, and so she got me into it, and I loved it. And then I started out to play.
Yeah. What do you consider to be your best shot? What's your shot that you go, this is my sweet spot. This is what I love. Is it a forehand or backhand, or what's your favorite?
I love to hit forehand, but one day I want to learn how to do slices. So,
Nice.
but mostly I would love to do forehand, and because that's my right hand is really strong, so I can hit really hard.
Uh-huh. So
And
we gotta get you that slice down. You're gonna love this slice.
yes, yes, I do want to learn that.
Yeah.
Like when I practice and I practice hitting, I go too hard, and my coach says, "You gotta take it easy. Don't hit too hard." And I'm like sometimes mad because I want to hit hard.
Yeah, that's everyone's tendency. We always want to hit it hard, and the point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, tell me what your social life is like when did you just graduate from high school? How old are you?
I am
You're
17.
17.
Yes, I'm still in school. It's called Stone Homeschool Academy, and I right now I'm just working right now.
Okay.
So
So,
Graduate. He'll graduate next year.
yes,
you graduate next year. So,
yes.
do you have a nice group of friends that you hang with, and what is your summer like besides working? What do you do for fun besides work and tennis?
I love to make stuff, and I love to read books. So I
Nice.
love to do, and I also love to ride my scooter.
Sweet. And are you aware that your dad writes books?
Yes, I do. I'm actually reading one of his books.
Yeah. Eric, what book is he reading?
Life's Biggest Questions.
Nice. Nice. I like that. So,
Yeah.
Isaac, do you feel times when do you ever wonder if how life is the way it is for you? Do you ever think, do you feel sorry for yourself at times, or not really ever? Or what is that? I know it's an awkward question to ask, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
ask it anyway.
yeah. I ask the same question for myself.
Okay.
When I look at people, I'm sometimes jealous because I want to, like, when I see people ride their bikes, I want to learn how to ride a bike. Or when I see people learn how to swim, I want to learn how to swim well. And yeah, there's like a couple of things I want to learn how to do that I can't do because of my disability. But I mean, but then I think of it like, oh wow, this is cool that God created me like this, and I can't be jealous because this is what He did for me, and I need to be grateful for it.
Yeah. The day that your dad sent me that email accidentally, and it came, and I saw you on the tennis court with a big smile on your face. I was in kind of a low spot that morning. I woke up and I was kind of in a tough place, and I saw your picture of you genuinely smiling with the biggest smile on your face, and I thought, boy, I am inspired. I'm just inspired. And I thought, whatever problems I have, I need to reframe, because I bet he's not sitting around feeling sorry for himself.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
I think I was feeling a little sorry for myself that morning. So it was quite inspirational.
thank you.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your siblings. I know you've got a brother and two sisters, and does you've got three from India, and then you,
Uh,
right?
three from Taiwan,
Three from.
Sam, and two sisters.
Yeah, one from China. Isaac's from China. His sisters and brother are from Taiwan. So we have some geopolitical conflict in our own family.
Well, what about restaurant selection? How tough is that?
No, we love living in Southern California. Legit Asian food of any kind in particular you want. There are Taiwanese restaurants, not just Chinese restaurants, and there's a fun sibling rivalry with the China thing going on.
Yeah.
They give each other a hard time.
Uh-huh. And the age ranges again. Tell me the age ranges. Isaac, are you the second of the oldest?
I am the youngest.
You're the youngest. Okay.
Yes,
I'm having an off day as an interviewer. I've been making more mistakes today than I have collectively in the last month. So you're the youngest. Okay.
Good job.
Yeah. And in a blended family like that, how does everybody get along?
They get along well. Yeah, I gotta be a good kid to responsibilities and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of music do you like?
Oh, I love rap. I absolutely love rap, and I love NF, and yeah, I just love rap.
Yeah. Have you ever written a rap song or tried rapping yourself?
No, but I love to sing. I don't really. I do love to sing it, but I don't. I just sing random words.
He, he just performed in the talent show here at Hume Lake when he was at high school camp last week, and it was beautiful.
Nice.
What
Um,
song did you sing, I?
I sang "Christ is my firm foundation."
and that sounds amazing. I love it. I love it. So, what do you envision career-wise? Have you started to think about that, or are we not getting there yet? Are we not there yet?
Yeah, when I grow up, I want to learn how to fix things and like learn how to build things, like build houses with tools because I love using things with my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And you have one hand that's missing a couple fingers. Is that right?
I have five missing fingers.
You have 5 total missing fingers.
Five.
Okay, and you have no fears about grabbing onto any tool of any kind, huh?
No, some people are very amazed how I grab things.
Well, I bet. I'd love to see it. And you're a right-handed tennis player, and so your right hand is missing a finger or two.
Yeah. Yeah, he's missing fingers on both hands.
I know, but
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, on the right hand, how many are missing on the right hand?
Oh, it's only two.
Okay, I was trying to imagine wrapping
Two
your
is
hand around the
missing
tennis
on the
racket
hand.
and how you'd be holding it and controlling it, just because.
Yeah.
Well, it's not only wrapping. Yeah, he not only wraps his hand around a tennis racket, but he holds onto the racket and spins his wheels with that right hand at the same time and books around the court. It's just amazing. And a dime and then get back in position after the shot. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I've never seen it, so I would love to see it. So, yeah, thank you so much. I love hearing stories of such incredible inspiration, and I know there's a lot of people that have got stories, and when they can share them with others, it makes a big difference. And you're doing that today, not only for me, Isaac, but I know for a lot of people listening. I wish I could show everyone your picture, but I can't. But I could if I would. So thank you so much for spending time and being on the show. I think I'm going to be able to chat with your dad for a little bit later after we take a break. Does that sound right, Erik?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that the plan anyway?
That's the plan.
Awesome. So we will do that. Dr. Erik Thoennes and his son Isaac have been my guests so far. Isaac, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been so nice to meet you. And congratulations on your success on the tennis court and blessings to you going forward.
Thanks.
You bet. We'll take a little break. We'll be right back with Dr. Erik Thoennes in just a minute. If you are new to Faith Radio, you can check us out at myfaithradio.com. We'd love to send you a welcome packet, get to know us a little bit better. We're just so glad you're listening. Be right back.
It's the afternoon show with Bill Arnold. Prime time, drive time. Let's get it started. Jump in your car. What's for dinner? It's the afternoon show with Bill Arnold.
We're back, but not quite yet with our guest, Dr. Erik Thoennes. Something happened, Ryan. I'm not sure what happened. I think he kind of went away. We dropped our Zoom call with him, and now
stand by.
We can't get him back, but I believe we will. But really, the story of his family and him adopting 4 children is really, really quite remarkable. And he's professor at Biola University, chair of the theology department, and one of my favorite guests. And when I saw his story of his son Isaac playing wheelchair tennis, I was absolutely fascinated. And I'm being a tennis player myself. I'm just amazed at the way in which these wheelchair athletes play and compete, and it's so inspiring. And so, anyway, if you've got a story that you have been inspired by, you know how I'm feeling today, because it's one of those stories of overcoming adversity and saying, I don't care what people say I can't or can do, I'm going to just do it. And those are some of my favorite stories. And some prayer requests came in, so I did mention that in the last hour, if you had a prayer request, and I appreciate some of the prayer requests that have come in. Some of them we were able to pray for on the air, and others I will pray tonight myself when I spend time with the Lord. There was a particular prayer request that came in about a marriage that's struggling, and some anger and some other issues, and as life is ticking away, we're looking for some resolution and some love and trying to hold it together. And that may be what many people are dealing with right now. If you're in a situation where you are in need of some prayer support because your relationship is struggling, you can always text your prayer requests over to 877-933-2484. Again, 877-933-2484. I think we got Erik back on the line. Erik, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. My reception up here in the mountains is pretty bad. It's all my bad. So
yeah,
we could go landline if you want, but we'll see how this works too.
Yeah, this is fine for now.
Okay.
What a delight. Again, I'm inspired by your family. I'm inspired that you and your wife adopted 4 children, and it's a lot of bravery. And when you adopted Isaac, was he already a young man with disabilities?
Yeah, he was 8 years old when we adopted him.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew his situation, and like all our kids, our kids were all older, 8, 7, 6, and 8. So they had all lived quite a bit of life before we adopted him. So we knew there was some challenges along the way, but we knew entirely God would provide in the ways we needed him to. So we were willing to take it on.
Yeah, and if they show up in your household at age 7 or 8, there is some blueprint already laid down, isn't there?
There really is. And I don't know, kids are considered special needs after just 2 years old, because typically there's some emotional trauma that you're going to be dealing with along the way. So, it's interesting. Isaac's got some significant physical and developmental disabilities, but God has blessed him with an amazing personality. He was pretty shy just now, but he's usually the life of the party. And
yeah,
and he's never met a stranger. He just loves people, and people love working with him. He works in the kitchen here at Hume Lake, where we are right now, full time this summer. And he's got a tough time doing some things that are part of his job, but consistently people tell me how much they love working with him, and what a delight it is for him to be grateful like he is. And again, a perspective check for people constantly when they're tempted to whine about something going on in their life. He sort of helps them put that in check.
Mm-hmm. I love the fact he's reading your book, Life's Biggest Questions, what the Bible says about the things that matter most. And I love that book. I read it myself. Maybe we can talk a little bit about it just because he brought it up. One of the questions I love is, how well can you know God?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I'm speaking at a creative arts conference doing a theology of art and creativity in the fall. And I just decided last week what I'm going to talk about is really the answer to that question, in that I think good art, but knowing God are both based in a deep appreciation for his incomprehensibility, that we'll never know everything there is to know about God. We won't even ever know everything there is to know about one thing about God, because he's infinite and we're finite, and we have limited understanding of everything. and especially of an infinite God who has no limitations of any kind in any quality he possesses. So to truly appreciate his incomprehensibility and be filled with childlike wonder is at the very heart of the Christian life, where we never stop being in awe of who he is, but that just increases. But at the same time, we need to embrace the knowability of God. So his ways are higher than our ways, and he's beyond us, but he's given us everything we need for life and godliness in the knowledge of Christ that we find in his word. And so it's not just mystery and wonder, it's anchored in truth. And we do have the ability to know, and God created us to know him. And he says life is found in knowing God. So he's knowable and he's incomprehensible at the same time. And so a quest to know God needs to have that balance between the awe, the mystery, the childlike wonder, the wonder of an incomprehensible God. And at the same time, to be able to say, yeah, I know things about God that are absolutely true. I'll never know them absolutely, but I know they're absolutely true, and I'll bet my life on them. And so that's the tension, really. Some of us tend to the knowability side of things. Probably an engineering major or a philosophy major tends toward that side, but an art major or a literature major appreciates the untied up loose ends of knowing someone or something. But we need to realize where we tend to go on that balance and try to strike that one between incomprehensibility and knowability.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Erik Thoennes is my guest. Erik, are you living and working at a summer camp all summer?
Well, I'm doing a lot of preaching in the summer.
Okay.
I'll leave for Hume, New England, and preach the gospel there to high school kids. I've been doing that here at Hume Lake. I did it at Forest Home Christian Camp a few weeks ago. And so a lot of preaching, but when we're not there, we're planting here at Hume.
Yeah. And then what age are you speaking to?
Adults through high school.
Okay.
So next week I'll be preaching to high school kids in Massachusetts. And a couple of weeks ago, I was preaching to high school kids here in California.
Uh-huh. And then what are you teaching this week as well?
No, I have this week off. I'm trying to get some writing done, and then I'm going to head to New England. But it's a great series we're doing on Daniel, and it's the theme is living as resilient Christians in an increasingly hostile culture. So it's been a wonderful message, and kids standing to trust Christ. It's just been amazing to see how God's been working in their lives. You hear so many negative things about the younger generation these days, but God's working, and I meet so many who really want lives that matter.
Mm-hmm. Erik, do you find that kids today are trying to understand the Bible, or they're looking at it through the lens of culture when we should really be looking at culture through the lens of Scripture?
Yeah, boy, Bill, I couldn't put it any better than that. I think it's not just kids. I think it's in general. There's this crazy idea that we determine truth and reality for ourselves, and we're not dependent on our Creator to know that. You know, all of human history, there was a sense of reality's out there. You need to conform to it or try to manipulate it through magic and now technology. But generally, there was this idea that reality's out there and we need to conform to it. And that's what wisdom was considered to be. And now there's actually this idea that the individual has an autonomous capacity to determine reality for himself. And whatever that means, even if it defies biology or physics, it's true because I believe it's true. And it's sort of the problem of human sin at its core run amok.
Mm-hmm. When you are presenting to kids at like a summer camp, what strategy do you come at them with when it comes to presenting the gospel with all the things that they have in their head today?
Yeah, well, I right off the bat try to say, look, I'm not going to take things lower than you need me to. I want to challenge you when I preach to you, and I'm not going to tailor the story of God's redemptive work for what you want it to be. I'm going to shoot straight with you the way God does in the Bible, and I want to represent him well in his word. And so I think they appreciate that. I think if they feel like I'm trying to market to them and treat them as consumers, they don't respect that. And even if they don't agree with what I'm preaching, I want them to know the Bible's my source, and I'm shooting straight with them about what it says from God's word. And they really respect that. And I don't try to tell stories all the time and tell jokes all the time and be a goofball, because I want them to know this is the most important thing they'll ever think about in their life. They have plenty of fun when they come to camps, but I want them to know that this is the most important thing they'll ever consider in their lives. You know, Spurgeon said we need to preach as dying men to dying men. So I want them to know that this is serious, and the decisions they make at this point in their lives will determine the rest of their lives usually. And so I don't pull punches. I don't try to be a comedian or a game show host. And they really respect it. I'm always wonderfully blessed with how locked in they are and responsive they are when I'm teaching them in a way where they know I have a fatherly love for them and concern that comes through, hopefully. And they respond to that. It's just beautiful.
I so appreciate that, because if there was going to be someone who was going to add some comedic flavor, it would be a guy like you, because you're naturally funny, and yet you still just sort of bring the goods. And do you always try to steer them into a place of understanding the gift of salvation, and it's something to receive?
Yeah, my son went to another camp one time, and he came back and he said, "Dad, our speaker is way funnier than you are." and I said to him, "Oh, Sam, I could do funny if I wanted to." And it comes out once in a while. It leaks out now and then. But I don't want that to be the shtick.
Yeah, right.
I want to shoot straight with them. And, humor's fine, but you can overdo it with kids thinking that's all they can consume and entertainment. And so I want to get them in the Word, and I want them to develop a little bit of patience for what it is. What's wild is when they come from all kinds of church cultures, so you're not sure what they're used to.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I think starting in like 10th grade, I went to a Bible study, and it was usually in the basement of a kid who had the biggest house, because there was 50 or 60 kids that would show up. And the teacher was a guy, and he would walk in and he'd plop down and he'd say, "Hey, welcome everyone. Let's open our Bibles to John chapter 7. And that was it. There was no singing. There was no game playing. There was no nothing. And we were just sponges. Couldn't get enough of it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me take a little break. Dr. Erik Thoennes is my guest. We are chatting a little bit about life's biggest questions. He wrote a book called that, and what the Bible says about the things that matter most. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. Be right back. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world, and right now there are kids in desperate need of Jesus, food, and medical care. This is your time to become their champion, to change their life. When you sponsor just one child, you plant seeds of hope in their heart, and you work together with people on the ground to change the families, communities, and the future of these kids. You might not be able to change the world, but for one child, you can change theirs. Meet the kids. Find your child at myfaithradio.com. I'm back with Dr. Erik Thoennes. We're talking today about some of life's biggest questions. So, Erik, when you want to determine what is true and what is real, how do you determine what voices we can consider trustworthy?
Oh, boy, that's a great question. I mean, what makes that a bit complex is that God is always revealing himself through what we call general revelation. And so the heavens declare the glory of God. You just look at creation and you see powerful truths about God that actually Romans 1 says makes us without excuse for not responding to him appropriately. And so general revelation is all around us all the time. And it's within us as well. God creates us in his image. And so we have a sense of morality. We have a sense of the need to worship, a sense of the need for our guilt and sin to be dealt with. I mean, human beings are what's been called incurably religious. And so no matter who someone is or where they are, they have a powerful revelation of God in what we call general revelation. The problem is, the Bible says we suppress that truth in unrighteousness. We twist it, we distort it, we pervert it, we make it for our own ends. And so we can't trust even our perception of general revelation. We need to go to God's word that the Spirit inspires and depend on the Spirit to help us understand what its life-changing message is. And so to get our moorings, to even be able to see what we call general revelation properly, needs to be grounded in God's clearly, authoritatively revealed word that gives us our understanding of who he is, who we are, what a meaningful life is, how our sin gets handled by him, and just get everything in the right perspective, how it's all going to end, all these big questions that get answered in his word that give our lives the framework for everything we do.
Mm-hmm. Erik, do you think it's fairly natural for us to ask the big questions in life, yet a lot of the times we kick that can down the road because we want answers, but we're too afraid to ask?
Oh, Bill, that's so well put. I one of my greatest frustrations in life and challenges in life is to do what we're doing right now, is to get beyond the surface, to get beyond the shallow, where we so naturally live, to things that are important, things that really matter, to ask questions about life. It doesn't mean we don't laugh and have levity and
right.
enjoy recreation and do those things. But even those things, why do we play? Why do we recreate? How should a Christian look at those things? How should we view food and sex and entertainment and all the gifts God gives us? We need to ask those questions. Well, how does God view this? What is his intention for these things? When am I doing this in a way that honors him, and when am I not? When is this being done in the flesh, and when is it being done in the spirit? Those sorts of questions are so important. It's so much easier to float along the surface like scuba divers instead of diving deeply and doing the hard work of thinking well, but also challenging one another to go beyond the surface. Christians, we need to be more than a half a question deep in the things we believe. I talk to people all the time, and they'll say all this stuff about, I believe God is an energy and God is a source, and I believe in karma. And then I'll say, well, what do you mean by that? And they don't know. They just throw lots of words out.
Yeah.
And I'll say, and where are you getting that? And sometimes I know where they're getting it. They're getting it from Hinduism, or they're getting it from Oprah Winfrey or whomever. And they don't even know where they got that. It was probably from a 10th grade English teacher who was really cool, that made a big impression on them. But they don't even remember that that's where they got this worldview they're operating out of it. And so that point you make of, let's not live in the shallows. Let's be deep people who think deeply and ask the kinds of questions you ask all the time on your show.
Well, as much as I enjoy levity, which I do, really the way I seem to operate is, who are you and what makes you tick?
There you go.
Those are interesting to me because I don't care a lot, and then people do want to talk about things that matter in life. And what I love about the show is I think we create a platform in which we can have adult, respectful conversation about things that matter.
That's right. Yeah, and those two questions, who are you and what makes you tick? What are you about? That's about as fundamental as life's questions get. But it's amazing how seldom people actually just even think about those questions. Or they do it when they're alone in bed, stared at the ceiling, and they're finally off social media. But usually we'll get so distracted and into the routine of our daily schedules that we won't think about those life-altering questions.
Mm-hmm. Another guest of mine said something that has really stuck with me, and the question he asked is, who has the privileged place of authority in your life?
Oh, that's just beautiful. Yeah. Who do you answer to?
Exactly. And most people, want to have God on their resume, but that's about it.
Right. But Bill, the reason you're so good at what you do and why it's so valuable is because it's coming from a very natural, I would say, loving curiosity about people who are made in God's image. And it is stunning to me how seldom that is a trait you see in people. I have a friend of mine loves to joke about his own self-centeredness. He'll say, well, enough about me. What do you think about me?
Yeah.
And that is how we can so easily naturally be. And I can fall into that too, just being self-absorbed. But when you get outside of yourself is when you actually start to find meaning in life. And people actually start to find you interesting when you're interested in them.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it stunning, though, the amount of meaningless conversation that people have? I mean, if you ever grab a meal at a restaurant by yourself and you happen to overhear what they're saying at the tables next to you, you go, does anybody say anything that's super meaningful? You know, very seldom do you sit next to two people that are having a really deep conversation. Not that I'm eavesdropping on them, but, just when you're in line at a coffee shop or something, or you're listening to people having conversation, and you think that we don't deal enough with what is really important in life, and let's cut through it and find out how you really feel about that. You know, Pascal's got that great line about we're all making a high-stakes life commitment to a particular faith view, and we're betting our eternal destiny on it.
Oh, that's so good. Yes. Yeah, I had my humanities professor, Dr. Lothar Kahn, in college. He was amazing. He looked like Einstein, crazy hair, and he was just a wonderful, brilliant man. But he said what he missed most about Europe was people sitting around in coffee shops and bakeries arguing with each other about politics and life and things that really matter. He said he came to the United States and he heard people say it's impolite to talk about religion and politics in polite company. And he just said, that's a source of great problems. You need to hash these things out and talk about things that matter I would say with the Bible and the newspaper in front of you, diving into things with people who don't share your perspective too is so important as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's why sports was so important in my life, because I met people from all walks of life and we had a common goal and we became close, even though we shared a very different worldview at times, but it was so good and bonding.
Mm-hmm. Erik, how long do you think it takes someone to say, I think I have some biblical literacy? How much study and work do you think it takes? Because, I mean, studying scripture is not easy.
No. And I think that point is incredibly important, to go into it saying, this is work. It takes work. It's not just some mystical experience that I open myself up to. I need to figure out what these words mean. And I need to understand 1st century or 3rd century BC culture. And, mm-hmm. Well, the beauty of the Bible is also one of the challenges of it. It's God personally revealing himself to real people, real time, and real space and places, which means you need to take some time to understand these places and these times and these people. We're all fundamentally the same, but they're very different in other ways. And so it's a historical revelation of God, which means it's some work to get back in the sandals of the people to whom he was writing those words initially. And then to translate it, not transform it, but translate it in our culture becomes the challenge. So it's work, just what you said, it takes some work. But I'm amazed at how eager and enthusiastic and fruitful new Christians are with very limited Bible knowledge. They're willing to do what God says in his word very often when they're new believers and their first love is fresh. And they're willing to bring that to other people. So many of the most zealous evangelists and ministers I know are new Christians who have very little knowledge but are putting it to work. I think that's the most important thing. But then to commit ourselves to being men and women of the word, who it becomes a friend. It's a relationship with God through his word that you devote yourself to. So over time, it becomes more and more like a friend to you, and the people in it and the audiences to whom he's writing become like people you know. It's not going to be a surprise to meet Joseph and Abraham and Paul and the woman at the well when we get to heaven.
Yeah, I can't wait to learn the name of the thief on the cross, because all we ever referred to him as the thief on the cross. You know, maybe we'll get up there and find out.
I don't know have we ever talked about the nameless heroes in the Bible? I'm just so intrigued by the one leper. We don't know his name. The thief on the cross, we don't know his name. The woman who gave everything she had in the offering, we don't know her name.
Yeah.
All these amazing people show up throughout the Bible, and we don't hear from them again.
The rich young ruler. There's a whole bunch of them. We should talk about that sometime. That'd be fun.
Yeah. The nameless heroes.
Yeah. Erik, thank you again. I know that having Isaac on was just so generous of him to take time to be with us, and I just loved it. So thank you very much for putting all that together and making it happen.
Well, let me tell you, people like you and so many others who genuinely love our kids and our family and Isaac and are willing to get past, superficial things, the things that really matter, are a treasure to us. And so I'm grateful for you and your willingness to even have him on. Thanks, brother.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll look forward to the next time we get a chance to be on air together.
All right, my man.
All right, thanks a lot. Dr. Erik Thoennes has been my guest. That's our show for the day. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting Faith Radio, and so appreciate if you missed any of today's show. You can always head to the website. It's myfaithradio.com. Check out the podcast. See you tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Programming like this is made available through your support. Information available at myfaithradio.com.